In this video, we're going to talk a little about the changes in the different models, Battleforged armies, the point system, and stratagems. What are some changes that are coming, and simply how will they be used in 8th edition? Stay tuned. Before moving on, remember to check out the WC website for more gaming resources and see what our other producers are doing. So there are some changes to large infantry and character models, and their changes have affected the way they will be played on the field of battle. First, the large models. This would be, but not limited to, monsters and vehicles. They are much better now. Gone are the days of the lucky one-shot Melta takedowns. The big stuff you paid lots of points for will be now much more durable. The big guys will have tons of wounds, toughness, and good saves. However, this does not make them invulnerable. What's great about the big stuff is that they get weaker as you whittle away at them. A good example they use is the Morkanaut profile here. As you can see, the more you damage the Morkanaut, the slower it will move, the less accurate it will be, and the less it will be able to hit. Every large models, of course, will get weaker in their own way, but you get the point. Infantry is much more effective as infantry, as you wouldn't use a unit of Space Marines to try and bolter down a Morkanaut because that would just take forever. You use them at what they're good for, taking down other infantry. In 8th, your infantry units can now shoot at different targets. So your Space Marine squad, for example, within the unit can lay down bolter fire at a horde of Orc boys, flame another mob of Grots, and crack missile a Killican. Characters have the biggest change. Whereas they could join units, buff them, and hide in them, in 8th they are not allowed to join units anymore. Basically, they are gone the days of the stupid Death Star or whatever star units you want to call them. Instead, most characters can buff units by proximity based on the unit keywords. Remember those keywords you saw in those data sheets? Now you might say that your characters are now open season to firing. That's not entirely true, as there's a new rule in 8th that states you cannot target characters unless they are the closest unit. Finally, the characters have something called Heroic Intervention, in which in 8th means that characters near a combat can pile in and attack the enemy if they're close enough, even if they weren't charged. This is to represent that a hero won't just sit idly by when there's fighting to be had. Let's look at Battleforged armies. It's familiar as it is, but one of the biggest changes is there's no more formation, which, depending on which camp you belong to, is good. Formation basically is now translated into their own detachment for those that are worried about using formation in your current list. Detachments are made up of the 9 different unit types, or battlefield roles. There's a new battlefield role, as you can see here by this image, namely the Flyers. Here's an example of what a detachment looks like in 8th. As usual, they have restrictions and command benefits. It looks like command benefits will accrue you some command points, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Battleforged armies can be used with or without points, depending on what type of game you are playing. When it comes to match play, there will also be additional rules on how and limitations on using Battleforged army for competitive events. There are 2 types of point system in 8th now. Power level is a rating used for narrative or open play scenarios. For example, with the ambush mission, the side with the highest power points will play the role of the attacker. It's a great system to quickly gauge the balance of your army that you are playing and which role they should be playing in. For match play, it's the same type of point system we're used to. We will be using these points to buy units, add more models to a unit, and to purchase upgrades. Points for match play will also be capped across the whole game, so you have to set up aside points for summoning units to the battlefield, which is great, no more free summoning. But what is also very nice is that you don't have to define what those points are used for that you're putting aside. So if you put aside 1,000 points and decide that the second turn you want to summon a fast attack rather than a troop unit, you can do so as long as you have the points to do it. So that leaves a lot of variety tactically. And if you're wondering, point values do not appear on the datasheet, but will appear in another area of the rulebook. And finally, let's talk about stratagems. Remember those command points we were talking about when looking at the detachment formations? You can use those command points to pay for stratagems. And to note, command points can also be accrued from other sources, like from taking experienced commanders on your list. For example, Jorn the Fellhand is the oldest living Space Marine. He'll get you 1 CP just for hanging with the crew. Stratagems are special abilities that you can use to add some tactical advantage to your battles. Stratagem will usually be specific to certain missions or factions, but there are 3 general ones that every army can use. Let's take a look at them. For 1 CP, you can reroll any single dice, which can mean the difference between finish off that Morkanot or not. Remember when we were talking about charging and how all those charging units get to attack first? Well, you can interrupt this process by using counteroffensive. If you're worried that the unit of yours is about to bite the dust before all the attackers get their attacks in, but you want them to get their shots in, spend the 2 CP. And for another 2 CP, you can automatically pass a single morale test. It's important to save that unit that took a nasty beating this turn. As you can see, stratagems will be an important part of the 8th edition, as when it comes to match play, stratagems will be restricted. For example, the number of times it can be used in a turn. I'm totally excited. What do you guys think? So, for more information about 8th, check out the Warhammer community website or check out the featured topic on the WC website. Don't forget, if you like what I'm doing here, support me in the WC by becoming a Patreon. Sub if you haven't, like if you like, and share where you can. I will talk at you guys in the next video. Bye.